Some people seem to live inside a different version of reality, one where the right person shows up at the right moment, where an offhand comment turns into an opportunity, where things simply seem to work out for them more often than they do for everyone else. We call this luck, and we treat it like weather, something that either happens to you or doesn't, entirely outside your control. I don't believe that anymore, and I haven't for a long time. What looks like luck from the outside is almost always the visible result of an invisible skill, practiced consistently, often without the person even realizing they're doing anything unusual. Today, I want to take that skill apart completely, because once you see what it's actually made of, you'll stop waiting for luck to happen to you and start understanding exactly how to build the conditions that produce it. Section 1. Luck isn't an event, it's a distribution. The first shift you need to make is in how you're even defining the word. Most people think of luck as a single event, a lightning strike, something rare and isolated that either hits you or misses you. But if you study the lives of people who seem to experience it repeatedly, you notice something different. Luck isn't a single event for them, it's a pattern, showing up again and again in different forms across different areas of their life. That repetition is the clue. Genuinely random, isolated luck wouldn't repeat itself so consistently for the same person over and over, but a skill would. What's actually happening is that these people have, often unconsciously, widened the range of situations where a lucky outcome could occur, and increased the number of chances they're exposed to within that range. Luck, in other words, isn't a single roll of the dice. It's the number of times you're rolling and the range of outcomes you've set up in advance to be favorable when you do. Once you see it this way, it stops being mysterious. It becomes something you can actually study and build. Section 2. The first component is volume. Here's the part that surprises people the most, because it sounds almost too simple to be the answer. The people who experience the most lucky breaks are, in the overwhelming majority of cases, simply doing more, trying more, reaching out more, putting themselves in front of more situations where something unexpected could occur. They send more messages, start more conversations, pursue more small projects, apply for more opportunities, and accept more invitations than the average person even considers. Most of these individual attempts lead nowhere, and that's completely fine, because the value was never in any single attempt succeeding. It was in the sheer number of attempts increasing the odds that at least one of them connects with something real. A person who reaches out to 10 people gets a very different set of possible outcomes than a person who reaches out to one, even if both of them are equally talented, equally deserving, equally prepared. What looks like a lucky break to an outside observer is frequently just the visible 10th attempt in a series the observer never saw the first 9 of. Section 3. The second component is peripheral openness. Volume alone isn't enough, though, because you can attempt plenty of things and still miss what's actually in front of you if your attention is too narrow. The second part of this skill is a specific kind of openness. A willingness to notice things slightly outside your current focus, instead of walking through the world with tunnel vision fixed only on your immediate goal. People who consistently seem to get lucky tend to have a wider peripheral awareness. They notice the offhand comment in a conversation that wasn't really about them, the small trend appearing at the edge of their industry, the person mentioned briefly who might be worth reaching out to later. Most people filter this kind of information out entirely because it doesn't relate directly to whatever they're currently focused on. And in doing so, they miss exactly the kind of unexpected connection that luck is made of. This openness isn't about being unfocused, it's about holding your primary goal firmly while still leaving enough spare attention available to notice what's happening just outside it. Because that's almost always where the unplanned opportunity actually appears. Section 4. The third component is fast follow-through. This is where most people, even the ones with plenty of volume and plenty of openness, quietly lose their advantage. Because noticing an opportunity and actually acting on it are two completely different skills, and the gap between them is where most potential luck silently dies. A person notices something promising, a comment worth following up on, a small opening worth pursuing, and then hesitates, waiting for a better moment, a more convenient time. more certainty before committing to anything. But opportunity has a short shelf life, and the window that made something possible in the first place is frequently gone by the time hesitation finally resolves itself. The people who seem to catch lucky breaks aren't necessarily better at spotting them than everyone else. They're simply faster to act the moment they do. Sending the message immediately instead of drafting it for 3 days, showing up to the conversation instead of deciding they'll follow up later. Speed here isn't recklessness, it's simply refusing to let the natural human instinct toward hesitation quietly close a door that was only ever open for a limited amount of time. Section 5, the fourth component is relationship infrastructure. There's one more piece that compounds everything else, and it's the quality and breadth of the relationships someone has built over time, not for the purpose of extracting something from them, but out of genuine, consistent connection maintained long before any specific opportunity was on the table. Most lucky breaks that look like chance encounters are actually the result of relationship infrastructure built months or years earlier, a person remembered kindly, a connection maintained without an obvious immediate purpose, a favor offered with no expectation of anything in return. When an opportunity eventually appears, it rarely reaches a stranger first. It reaches someone already inside the web of people who know, like, and trust each other. People who consistently experience good fortune tend to have invested in that web continuously, showing up for others, staying in touch without needing something in return. Being the kind of person others think of when something good becomes available. This isn't networking in the transactional sense most people imagine, it's simply the long, patient accumulation of goodwill that eventually pays forward in ways that are impossible to predict in advance but entirely predictable in aggregate, over enough time. Section 6, why most people do the opposite. If this skill is learnable, why doesn't everyone build it? The honest answer is that everything about it runs against our natural instincts toward comfort and certainty. Increasing volume means tolerating more rejection and more attempts that lead nowhere, and most people would rather try less and protect themselves from that discomfort. Staying peripherally open means accepting a certain amount of unfocused attention, which feels inefficient in a culture that prizes narrow, measurable productivity. Acting quickly means accepting the risk of moving before you feel fully certain, and most people wait for certainty that opportunity was never going to grant them in time. And building relationship infrastructure requires patient, consistent investment with no guaranteed payoff, which feels wasteful to a mind focused only on immediate, measurable return. Put simply, everything that creates what we call luck requires tolerating exactly the kind of discomfort that most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid. Which is precisely why the people who tolerate it consistently end up looking from a distance like they're simply luckier than everyone else. Closing, building the conditions instead of waiting for the moment. What I want you to walk away with is this: luck was never something reserved for a fortunate few, chosen by some force outside your control. It's the compounded result of a specific, learnable pattern, attempting more than the average person is willing to attempt. Staying open to what's happening at the edges instead of locked entirely onto your immediate goal. Moving quickly the moment a real opportunity appears instead of waiting for a certainty that will never arrive in time, and investing patiently in people long before you ever need anything from them. None of this guarantees a specific outcome on any given day, and that's exactly the point. Luck was never about guaranteeing a single result. It was always about widening the range of favorable outcomes available to you and increasing how many chances you take within that range. Stop waiting for the lightning to strike you. Start building the conditions that make lightning statistically more likely to find you, and you'll discover that what everyone else calls your good fortune was, the entire time, simply the visible result of a skill you built deliberately, one small, uncomfortable action at a time.